So growing up, one Saturday morning after doing all my chores at home, I decided to go and look for a friend of mine so that we could play soccer. I then took my soccer ball and left home. So as I was approaching his family house, I noticed that there were cars there parked. Now, because I know some of the cars that were there, I quickly realized that some of his family members were there. However, I proceeded to go there because I just wanted to find out if he'd want to go out and play soccer or he's going to hang with family, you know. So I approached the house, and as soon as I walk into the yard, I can hear noise coming from the house now. All I can hear is shouting, but I can't really make sense of the words. And the closer I got to the door, I started to hear some of the words that were being said now. And somebody was screaming, "I fixed this whole house all by myself. This was my money, you know." And somebody was screaming, "Yeah, but don't act like this is your house now, you know." And somebody was screaming, "What do you have that I do not have, you know?" And all of those things were being said and they're being thrown out in the air. And somebody was saying, "Yeah, but you were loved better by Papa," and so forth, you know. Just because you're Papa's favorite, it doesn't mean anything, you know. We all have these things in life. We all have our own things in life and so forth. So I stood there as a young boy, very confused as to what was going on, because honestly, the idea that has been given to us, or rather the idea that has always been punched into our minds, is that as soon as you achieve these things, you achieve cars, you achieve houses, and you make money, you become happy, and life is just one bubble, one big bubble of happiness, you know. So here are these people who have these things, but they don't sound joyous to me, you know. So I can remember thinking to myself, what could have went wrong? And now as an adult, I sit and I think about these things, and I realize something, that yes, money will make us live comfortable. Everybody must go out and make their money. We need to get our own cars, you know, we need to get our own homes so that we can build our own comfort, which is actually complete. However, there are traumas that actually follow us from childhood into our adulthood that nobody tells us to deal with. That nobody tells us that at some point you need to actually look within yourself and understand what is going on within you so that you can fix yourself. Because most people are comfortable with the storm they are, not because they are comfortable really, but because they do not know that there's actually calmness that actually exists in them. And these are the things that actually carry us. They carry us in the friendships that we make. They carry us in the relationships that we form. All of these things are actually the bonds, or rather the ties of the bonds that we form with other people. You see, there's somebody right now who's watching this video. And I can tell you that in a situation, or rather when you find yourself in a situation which is not favorable to you, you do not call somebody who's going to talk sense into you, but you call somebody who's going to support the decision that you've already decided that you're going to make. You call somebody who's going to say, Chomi, they are crazy, let's fetch them. You don't call somebody who's going to say, Chomi, you know what? Actually, let this thing go. You know, there is no need to actually do that. Actually, be the bigger person. We don't call such people because we do not resonate with the calm in us, because we are not familiar of it. We are familiar of the storm, and therefore, you know, when we walk into a room, we must always prove the storm that is within us, you know. We must always walk into the room with that bayahlanya mentality, like nobody's going to tell me anything, nobody can mess with me, you know. And other people have that too. So it's actually something that we grew up with, and it's something that we now own and we find pride in, but it's actually empty. Because when you grow up and you achieve these things without actually fixing yourself, anger still controls you. Pride still controls you. You fail to make proper decisions because those things will always stand in your way, you know? Nobody can tell you anything because you have your own car now. Nobody can tell you anything because you have your own house now, you know? And we notice these things. You can step on somebody right now by accident, and the first thing that they might tell you is the price of their shoe. Do you know how much this shoe is? Do you know how expensive this shoe is? This is what these people will do. The first thing that they will tell you. And there was pain that was felt when you stepped on them. But that pain is not important because life has told them that material things are more important than dealing with the pain that you're facing in life. So therefore, they will always focus on the material things rather than the pain which was felt in that moment. And your apology might not even mean anything to some. To some, you say, I'm sorry, and they get it. To some, you say, I'm sorry, but they'll keep telling you about the price of that shoe, you know? You can't tell me nothing. Do you know how much this shoe is? This shoe can buy you and your whole family. It can feed your whole family and stuff like that. Because those people recognize the storm that is within them, but they don't understand the calm, because nobody has actually took the time to show them that there is actually calm in everybody. So at some point, as we grow up and as we become adults, we have to actually go and reflect and revisit the child that is within us and see what we can do for them so that we can become decent human beings who can form proper bonds with other human beings. But we rarely do that. And it's of great importance that we do that, because that helps us live better. That helps us find the inner peace within ourselves. That helps us know which battles to fight and which ones to just ignore, you know? Sometimes you have to apologize, not because you are wrong, but because you are avoiding the storm that may be coming. But in most cases, most of us do not actually realize or recognize that. The world is full of people that are at war with themselves. Sometimes you think that people are fighting you, but they are not actually fighting you. They are fighting the storm which is within themselves using you. But if you are familiar with the calmness in yourself, then you are able to say, let me step out of the way, and this person will keep throwing punches. But let me step out of the way, they'll punch the wall, they'll injure themselves. And maybe at some point they'll realize that it was not really worth it. Just step out of the way and let them see where their anger will take them. So at some point we need to actually work on who we are. So I'm saying to you, let's go out, let's get those material things to live better. But we also need to go out and fix the inner child in us so that we can be better, because that's where our peace lies. So yeah, happy Sunday.